The Minnesota Vikings have been around since 1961. And I just want them to win a damn Super Bowl before I die. Welcome to Before I Die with Jessi and Myles on Purple Daily and Score North.
Just one before we die. Guys, maybe it happens. Maybe this is the real deal. Your Minnesota Vikings improved 14-2 with a 27-25 victory over the Green Bay Packers, which always feels good to get a win against Green Bay at home. It also flexes us on Sunday night against the Detroit Lions. That was good. That was a good call. I like that, Myles. I like it. As always, I'm Jessi Pierce. He's Ross Brendel. He's Myles Gorham. Boys, how we feeling today? I'm feeling pretty good about yesterday's victory. Kevin O'Connell doing his thing. Sammy Slingin doing his thing. Jordan Addison, just everything. All cylinders. They made it interesting. It was tight. But in general, Myles, initial takeaways from yesterday's victory at the bank.
And there goes Ross. He's upset.
Or maybe he's just so elated. He's speechless. I think
he can't hold it back. Yeah.
This Viking season has left us all just like with little to say.
It really has. I'm excited. I don't care. I'm one of those people, especially in you look beautiful, baby. There comes my daughter. You look beautiful. Go Vikings, right, honey?
Yeah.
I'm excited. Like I'm one of those people. Like when it comes to the Packers, like I don't care how you win, just win, right? Mm-hmm. Like this last night felt like the game. Whatever week that was, week 4, week 5, when we beat them the first time. Whereas like you're up by a lot, they start coming back, and you're like, I don't. At the end of the day, like they shouldn't let this happen, but just don't lose.
Yeah, just don't lose.
And that's what it felt like, and they didn't. So I'm good, right? Like at the end of the day, they got the dub. They won. That's all that matters to me. And when you can sweep the Packers in a season, I'm all for it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, sweep that thing. I'm all for that. That makes it even better. And so I'm excited. I think the Vikings are in a situation right now where they're riding a high. Yeah. How many wins is that in a row? Like 8 or 9?
I think it's 9.
I think it's 9.
Yeah.
They're rolling on all cylinders. Like, yeah, there's like hits and misses here and there. Like there's holes to fill. Like. There are situations where you gotta correct, but at the end of the day, they're finding ways to win. And I think at a certain point, when you're 14-2, you gotta stop poking holes at everything all the time and just say like they're just winning, right?
Right.
So you can't. Not everything's gonna be perfect, but they're finding ways to win, and they're peaking at the right times. And so I think at the end of the day, like I'm good. Like I feel I haven't felt this confident in this team since 2017. Is definitely got to be the last time. Right?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't that confident 2022. I definitely wasn't confident 2022. 2019, no. I was kind of hit or miss, right? It was like one of those like, they could get hot. I was kind of like in between. Yeah. But this feels more like that, like 2017, 2009, like those years where like you really I'm not even gonna say 98, but I said it. Like, it just feels like those seasons where you're like things are just catching at the right time.
Yeah.
And guys are peaking at the right time. And so I think as long as they can get out of next week healthy, win or loss, hopefully they win and they can get that first round bye. The older vets on the team can get that rest. They can do all that. They can get home field advantage. Either way, though, I'm just excited about what's to come.
I mean, it almost feels like the Vikings have to have that low expectation or the no expectation for them to show out and do what they're doing, right? Yes. Which I think is maybe easier for us as Minnesota sports fans in general to accept, like, it's fine. We weren't expecting a lot. And then they get hot and you're just still don't know what to do with it. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands, like, because I didn't expect this. But it does seem like that because those years you mentioned, it was like, oh, okay, they're going to do the damn thing. Like, it feels like we need to just always have a low bar maybe and never expect anything out of them. And then they perform.
I know. And that's the hard part is they've raised our expectation. We've talked about this all season, right?
Yeah.
They went to a point where like, oh man, if they can win, 8-9 games, maybe sneak into the playoffs, that's a success, blah, blah, blah. Well, they've like well exceeded expectations. We're no longer in the, let's have fun in the playoffs. No. Let's go win that thing. Like that's where we're at. So I'm beyond that. Like I'm with you though. It's hard to not want to temper expectations because that letdown feels inevitable. But I want to get away from that because I feel like I was telling my wife this last night when we were watching the game. I was like, Kevin O'Connell makes me feel so confident as a fan. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just his bravado or like just how he is or like the cojones that dude has when he calls certain plays at certain times. Like,
Right.
but he just makes me feel confident. Like, there was a small instance at times when Zim made me feel that way, like, but not really that much. There was times like with like Denny Green, where you kind of felt that too. But like Kevin O'Connell just feels like the real deal. Like, he just feels like the type of coach that brings all the confidence with him. Like, that dude is not scared. He doesn't feel afraid of anything.
Yeah.
And I'm all for that. And it's obviously resonated with the players because they don't feel or seem afraid of anything either.
The meme that kept playing over and over in my head when you were like, "Oh, the Vikings are now 14-2," is KOC during the draft when he's like, "Oh, we got him." Really? And like this,
Yeah.
right? Like, because nobody, I mean, you don't see this coming. And I think it's time that we admit this is very much Sam Darnold's team as well, right? 3 touchdowns yesterday, 377 yards passing. Sam Darnold just continues to show up, show out, and I don't think we can deny that any longer. Again, it begs the question, what do you do next year? What do you do with Sam Darnold? I think we have to ask ourselves.
It's an extra problem, Jessi.
But I like to plan ahead. This is why I have anxiety, Myles, is because I think too far in the future, right? Like,
I do that
you
too.
just, what else can we say about Sam Darnold and his performance this season alone?
No, and
she loves it. She's all in on Slingin' Sam.
Where did she go? She ran out. I don't know. She loves. Yeah, she's all in on Slingin' Sam. I mean, as of this point, I've gotten to that. Like, there was these progresses as the season has gone on of like, oh man, if they brought him back, it'd be at like X amount of money. Like, it's at a point now where I'm kind of like, if they do bring him back, it's or kind of like you have to, whether it's you bring him back or you trade him. Like, to me, it's like you have to at least tag him and kind of determine what you want to do from there, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't let him walk for free. He's played way too well. He's not going to be MVP, so I'm not saying that, but he's played at an MVP type level this season.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at the entirety of the season and how well he's played, like, no, he's not MVP. He probably won't even be in the top 5, but he's played up to that like par.
Right. He deserves the national recognition and conversation around him that he
100%.
Yeah. I would
exactly.
agree.
Yeah, and so for me at that point, it's like when a guy's that good at that position, you can't just let him walk for free. And so to me, like at worst, you have to tag him, and then at that point, what you need to do is determine, is the plan to keep him for one more year, or do you trade him? Because for me, JJ McCarthy still has to be your future. You can't. You didn't get out of the Kirk scenario, and I know Darnold's kind of played a little bit more of a higher level. He's younger, more athletic, has a stronger arm, but like, you can't. You got out of that Kirk thing because of the money. That was the one of the big reasons. You wanted to be able to build a strong roster around your quarterback on that rookie contract, and it's hard to do that with Sam Darnold. And if you pay him a whole bunch of money, and that's the scenario the Vikings are finding themselves in again. They were trying to get out of it, and now they're right back into it. And so it's one of those situations like, I think
KOC's fault is what you're saying, because he makes 100%. The quarterbacks so good. That's the problem. Good. He makes them so good.
That's the other part of it, Jessi, is like, I love to use the word like. People always in the comments are telling me I use the word like. I like the word like. But Kevin O'Connell is just one of those coaches that makes you feel confident, and he gets the most out of his quarterbacks. That also should make you feel confident in what they might be able to do with JJ McCarthy, right? And so it's one of those situations is like, what are they weighing behind the scenes? Is Kevin O'Connell going to Kwesi and saying, I love Sam Darnold, I would love him back, but I could do a lot of what we're doing with Sam with JJ McCarthy. Obviously, we don't know as much about McCarthy because he's been hurt. He's young. He's only played in a preseason game and whatnot. But I think I trust what Kevin O'Connell decides, like what they should do. I trust what his like best path forward is for both McCarthy and for Sam Darnold.
I love following JJ McCarthy on Twitter and his little input, right? And I do wonder what his preference would be, right? I know he doesn't really get necessarily that say, but it's also
we know what his preference would be.
Well,
right?
But maybe, I don't know. Maybe he's a young kid. Maybe he just wants to feel it out. Speaking of excellent players, can we talk about Cam Akers and how that has really come back around? 18 yards rushing, 1 receiving tutty. I mean, did anybody see this coming? Welcome back, Ross. It's kind of, you're kind of like the Cam Akers in this situation. Right? Welcome back. Are you going to be better than ever or no?
Now, I'm just hoping that you can hear me and that I can hear you. And some fans of Before I Die who didn't have to put up with me for an episode and a half probably thought these were the best additions ever. So, yeah.
What do you got
How
on
about Cam
Cam?
Akers, by the way? Why even let him walk to begin with if you're just going to go get him back, albeit for, very low compensation? But yeah, great story there. And I thought it was great. KOC in the postgame, Jessi saying it's okay to say that you love a player. I think that's kind of speaks to the the buzzword that people like to use, culture, and then they show that video. Did you see a guy see the Vikings tweet out Kevin O'Connell just standing in the corner watching the Sam Darnold celebration when he enters the locker room, kind of like a proud father. So, yeah, just all good vibes right now for the Vikings, and good vibes for Cam Akers, who, in all honesty, he's not asked to do a lot. He's just asked to spell Aaron Jones here and there. Interesting that they tend to do it for full series, whether that's 3 plays, 10 plays, whatnot. But good to see him step in and fill a role that they were hoping that Ty Chandler would fill, and it just didn't work out.
Mm-hmm. Anything to add, Myles?
No, I love it. I think be able to have Cam Akers come in and build off of what Aaron Jones can do, because Cam Akers not as explosive, and obviously I don't think the one thing he's not as good at is pass protection. I think we saw even in last night's game, Aaron Jones is really good in pass protection. There was one, he stonewalled one of the linebackers coming in on a blitz. And I think those are the things that really separates Aaron Jones from a Cam Akers. But Cam Akers can come in and make big time plays when we need him to. That third down catch yesterday was gotta have it in a situation of literally for the game. Because if you don't catch that, you have to punt the ball away and then ask your defense. The offense ended up letting close the game out, which is what you want. You always want the offense to close the game. You don't want it to be on the defense. Not because you don't trust your defense, but when you can control the ball and control the tempo of the game, that's when you win football games. And so you want the offense to be able to do that, and because you control the game that way. And so that was really great. And then, like you said, his touchdown was great. I love that he could come in and spell Aaron Jones. Obviously, Aaron Jones has a quad contusion, so he's a little banged up. But to be able to have a guy like that to come in and you trust him to run any play in the playbook, that's huge. And so I'm just looking forward to whenever they trade for him again next offseason, or next year. It'll happen, right? He'll go sign somewhere, and we'll go give up a future 2023 or 2030, 8th round pick, 7th round pick. I saw someone tweet it they're like, I can't wait. I saw someone tweet it and it was really funny. The future 8th round pick coming back, pick swap for Cam Akers next year.
Gives him a little chip on the shoulder, maybe, right?
Yeah,
Gives him that little thing. And you could feel every ounce of him being do not drop this ball right now. Grab, I could feel that through the television set. I was oh my goodness. Speaking of, and we talked about it, right? You getting rid of Kirk allowed you to go and get these additional pieces, add to that roster depth. Jalen Naylor, another guy that crushes it when needed. 5 catches for 81 yards and a touchdown. Plus, our boy Jordan Addison, despite my fantasy football team not being anywhere near championship play, Jordan Addison continuing to do his damn thing. 6 catches, 69 yards, and a touchdown. The only concern, guys, right now, I think, for this Minnesota Vikings, and Ross, I'd like you to touch on this. Big Leg Bill, what's going on here? What are we doing? How do we remedy the problem that is Bill?
First off, don't you guys just love, and by love mean hate, that this is always an evergreen topic with the Minnesota Vikings? And I will say, yes, the Vikings have been scarred in the playoffs, but this is kind of an evergreen topic for half the teams in the league. Kickers are, for lack of a better comparison, kind of like quarterbacks. There's maybe 5 to 8 that you go are really, really good. Then there's maybe kickers 9 through 15. Yeah, okay, they're guys. And then kickers 16 through 32, interchangeable rotational guys. I still believe in Big Leg Bill, partially because I think you kind of have to. You're not going to get anybody better at this point. I hesitate to say that John Parker Romo is better or should be trusted more than Will Reichert at this point. These kicks are long kicks too, at least the ones that happened yesterday were. And technically, yeah, he missed it once, but then he made it again, which didn't really count. And then it counted. So I guess I'm not going to worry about him a ton, largely because of where he came from. He had a lot of big kicks at Alabama. The guy's used to pressure. There may be still more of an injury than we know about with his leg. So I'm not going to worry a ton, but it is a little concerning, of course, as it's happening right before the playoffs. But here's the simple solution. Don't kick field goals. Score touchdowns.
That seems simple. I kind of
Seems simple in theory, doesn't it?
I like that.
But I don't know what you can do. I really think Yeah, it's a concern, but it's not going to be fixed at this point. The only person that can fix it is him, and I actually believe that he will.
Yep.
Works for me.
No, that's exactly it. And I feel like the only one that I won't forgive him for is the 43-yarder, right? Like that 57-yard field goal is really hard to make. And I know he's made a 58-yarder, and I think, like to your point, Ross, earlier in the season, he was healthier. So he has a big leg, right? But when he's not as healthy, he's probably not going to kick as far. And that showed out yesterday, and I think that's just going to happen. Hopefully, we can get through the regular season here, and hopefully as we get into the playoffs, he's a little healthier or whatever. But that 43-yarder for me is the only one that I'm like, hey, like those have to be makes. Like you got to make those. But in terms of like the other ones, I was like, okay, I understand. Those are tougher kicks, different situations. And it's more of the timing thing. Like you needed that kick with that 43-yarder to kind of like ice the game a little bit more. And that's where my biggest issue was too. It's not about like, it's more about when he missed it too, not just about like how far it was, but like when he missed it.
You hit a 53-yarder at about 10:25 Central Time on Sunday night to ice or walk off the Detroit Lions and get a bye in the NFC. I think that'll cure a lot of what ails Minnesota Vikings fans.
Yes, it would be nice not to have to go to that though. Go ahead. Oh, sorry, Jessi.
We'll score touchdowns, not kick field goals, right, Myles?
Yeah.
Segue incoming. Injuries, hurt, pain. Nicol Law's got you covered.
Oh boy, if you have pain, here's our shout out to the exclusive personal injury law firm of Purple Daily. That's Nicol Law. They'll help you with that pain. They know that when you or a loved one gets injured, ordinary life, it can come to a stop. Nobody wants that. Things get complicated. That's gross. That's icky. We're not going to let that happen. That's where the folks at Nicol Law come in. They're your normal, everyday folks. You see them out and about at the gas station. You might even see them at your New Year's Eve parties. Or right now, if you look out the window like I'm doing, you might see them walking the dog. Hi, Nicol Law. They're here to help you get the compensation you deserve after an accident. If you've been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers. Get Nicol. You say, Ross, how do I get Nicol? Guess what? It's easy. Your path to winning at NicolAlaw.com. That's where it starts, NicolAlaw.com. Or give them a call, 855-NICOL-A. That is NICOLET, 855-NICOL-A.
Comments from YouTube.
I have to ask real quick, Ross, did you take a breath in that? Because that was like right through. There was like no stopping.
I'm paying for it now. I'm paying for it now.
It's like a regular Eminem. Every time I try to like learn M's new verses or some of his different raps, I'm like, how does he do that so fast? Like, how does he just take that breath so quickly?
And then you think, oh, well, that's the magic of a recording studio. And then you see it live and you go, nah, he's just that good. Apparently, he doesn't need to breathe.
It's like swimming. You gotta train your lungs.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm pretty close. Like I said, I can bust them around. I'm pretty good.
And as anybody who's followed me long enough, Myles knows, let's just say I am not in peak physical condition. However, though, as I look at my phone right now, let's see here. Fitbit. We are averaging 13,327 steps a day here in the year
that's
2000.
That's really good.
And 24. Thank you very much. The people who rip me in the comments, you will notice I am also down a decent amount of weight in 2024. So
Good job.
I'll fight you. All right, let's go here. Comment number 1 from Brigetti Kirby. We'll go with that, I guess. Says absolute domination for 3.5 quarters. Then I watched the defense just literally jog at Packers players the last 5 minutes. How do you not just keep the pedal to the metal? Great win, but this game, the other Green Bay game, and the Bears game literally cannot happen. I know we won every game, by the way. Question 1. Should we be worried about the Vikings not closing games out more dominantly? I'll start with Myles. I think this may go back to his Will Reichard point a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, yes. To answer the general question, yes. I think it is worrisome. It's something that they have to continue to work on. You can't go up by that much with, I think like 9 minutes left in the game was when the Packers got the interception, somewhere around that time, and they're able to come back and score their first touchdown of the game. That creates that momentum for them and gets them an opportunity to get themselves back into the game. That stuff can't happen. And Sam Darnold threw an interception. It's, again, we talk about timing. It's not that Sam Darnold threw an interception yesterday. It's more about the timing. They had a chance to go really truly ice that game yesterday, and then he throws that interception. And again, he had a really strong game yesterday, so I'm not sitting here being like, oh, has to be better, blah, blah, blah. No. Sam Darnold's playing great. I'm not telling him to change anything. It's just more about the timing of things. And then, like you said, Ross, to start, the what do you guys call him? Big Leg Bill or something like that?
Big Leg Bill or Will the Thrill? Sorry, as my voice cracked there. Big Leg Bill.
Like, it's just about timing. Like, they were able to come back and have a strong drive to help close the game out, and you miss a field goal, right? And those things, again, change the outcome of games. And so it's more about timing, right? It's not the fact that you have mistakes, you have problems, but like it's more about timing of those. And so they just have to be better in the fourth quarter in some of that with the timing, but they still come out to the commenter's point, they come out and still win the football game. So at the end of the day, they may make some of these mistakes, but they're still finding ways to win the game. And that's at the end of the day the most important part. But I hear you, because it does feel like it's going to come back to bite us in the most crippling way come January. But knock on wood.
We're so scarred, aren't we, Jessi?
Only asterisk, only little side note. They were dominating games from start to finish at the beginning of the year, if you recall.
Sure.
So, I mean, they do know how to do that. So part of me does wonder if it's some sort of tact, maybe a little bit. Maybe I'm giving too much credit to KOC and the game callers as far as like, oh, well, we're going to win the game anyway. We can maybe just lay off. And that is a problem, right? Sometimes I hate watching teams sit back. I told you guys last week, I wanted this game to be a blowout. So I was slightly disappointed, especially when you had two teams just getting absolutely waxed for 40 points earlier on during the day. I was like, good, this is what the Vikings are going to do to the Packers. Like, I needed that. They're capable of doing it. So I think that's where I find a little bit of confidence and a little bit of calm, and they are getting the wins. But yes, they need to be better at just pedal to the metal. That's how I live my life. Just floor it, go, don't give up.
It's also just an NFL thing, right? Almost every game comes down to a one-score game. I think this year the percentage is as high, if not higher, than it's ever been. And I think you do fight human nature a little bit. This just happens. Teams, I don't think you intentionally let up, but you do the old, okay, well, if we keep them in bounds, more clock's going to tick away. We know we might give up a touchdown here or there. But that's when it comes back to Myles' point of either, hey, don't throw an interception in the third quarter at a bad time, or just make field goals when you need to make them. So I don't think this problem is unique to the Minnesota Vikings, but I think it's more frustrating because we are Vikings fans, and it is the team that we watch and love and adore. Here is comment number 2 from the YouTube machine. Eric, we'll go with Vested, says, we def need a better running game. The fact that we didn't run down the clock wasn't good. So here's my question to you two, and I'll start with Jessi. Is it reasonable to expect more from the Vikings running game with just one game left in this season and now 51 games into the Kevin O'Connell era? I think at this point, you just get what you get.
Mm-hmm. You know where your bread gets buttered. You know how, like, that's KOC's mantra. Like, that's his system. That's the way he likes to do it. Sure, you want to be versatile. You want to be able to have a better run game. It's not disappointing because they're making it work everywhere else. So I'm not going to poke holes, as Myles said. Like, it's working. I don't need them to change it up. Would it be nice? Yes. It can be worried about next year or when you need to dig in. But right now you've got your receivers getting the balls. You got your tight. I mean, it's all working fine for me. I don't need them to change anything, especially against the Lions next week.
Yeah, well, and to that point, like, the Vikings are having an overall better rushing season than they've had since Kevin O'Connell got here. So it's not like it's awful. It's not like the first 2 years I was like, this run game is bad. They need to do something about it. They've done better overall. Now, there's a couple games where teams, they just have a better stout up front defensive line, guys that are really good against the run. And the Packers are one of those teams, typically, which is kind of funny because last year the Packers were awful against the run. And now you see them and they're really good against us last night. I think it's more of just about our interior line just not really being the best in run blocking situations, and especially in key situations. But overall, it's not a concern. Aaron Jones has almost 1,100 yards rushing this year. I think they're averaging over 4 yards a carry total. So overall, like, the run game isn't bad. It is about those times, though, where when they need to run the football, they're not always the best at it. So I do agree with that point. But I think the run game overall is pretty good. But the bread and butter, to Jesse's point, is that pass game. You pass to score, you run to win, and I think that last part is like why we saw Kevin O'Connell last night throw the football instead of run it, because he's more confident in his passing game to get those first downs than he probably is some of his rushing. So.
Well, and nobody wants to do it, but if you can manufacture a run game like they did with the rollout pass to C.J. Ham or even the dump off to Cam Akers to seal the game. And, one thing I think maybe, and Jessi, Myles, feel free to weigh in, I think one thing I would maybe like to see in those situations, I know they can backfire, but when you're running the ball into a wall anyways, why not? How about a jet reverse, some type of reverse, some type of toss, some type of flip. But then again, these NFL teams know that. They're going to be ready for that, especially when they know the Vikings have difficulties running straight up the middle when it counts. So, yeah, I don't know. Hope is not necessarily a strategy, but I guess you hope the next time the Vikings are in that situation, maybe they get that one key block to key a big run.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's close with this. I'll give myself my own little segue here. Comment number 2. We'll go with Tycoon W. Says C.J. Ham made his presence felt. Did you guys know? 'Tis the season for ham. It still is the holiday season. So, Jessi, Myles, what are we cooking up on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day? Any ham?
No, I hate ham, except like a hot ham and cheese. I can't stand it. My mom offered to make that, and I was like, I don't want this. Not to mention, I'm just cooking up disappointment because the Minnesota Wild play that night, and I have to cover the game. So that's what I'm ending 2020. They are so bad at home. They are 9-8-1 at home, which isn't good. Good.
They haven't been
Especially
good the
for a
last
really good team,
month
right?
or so. Neither.
Yeah, they've been struggling. It's back to reality, I think.
January swoon loons, right, Jessi? Looms.
I mean, it is like it's just
It's like clockwork. More of those takes on Judd's hockey show, right?
sorry. Yeah. No, I probably won't do anything for. I'd probably pizza, maybe a hot dog at the game, which is kind of ham-like. New Year's Eve.
Just like
pork.
Just like ham.
It's just like
Nobody
ham. I
knows
love me a
what's in
hot
it
dog.
anyways.
No,
It's somewhere
New
from
Year's
that,
Eve.
from that pig.
We usually will cook maybe like a nice prime rib or like a fillet and just do an at-home thing. I'm so over. I've
Fancy.
been so over. Yeah, there's a great butcher shop by me though that sells really reasonably afforded little 4-ounce fillets, which I love.
Jessi,
It's
would
not
this be the
Flickers.
one
No,
with the
I love-
mildly dirty name on County Road?
No, I love me some Flickers meat though, which is a brilliant name. Yeah, that's right. You heard me right. Flickers meat, best beef sticks in the world.
Yeah,
No.
Flicker Meats or
If they want to
Flickers
sponsor the
Meats.
show,
County
they
Road,
wanna sponsor
County
the
Road
show.
and White Bear Lake.
White Bear Avenue. Yeah.
Is that where
no,
it's at? Yeah.
this is the one on 61. It's I think it's called like Mike's Butcher Shop or something.
Oh, yeah,
That's really good.
yeah.
It's not bad. So, what about you boys?
Myles?
we're just doing like appetizers type thing. I'll probably do like shrimp cocktail, something like that. I made ham for Christmas with my family, so we did like the fixings. So I told my sister, like my family's from the South. My mom's from Texas, my dad's from North Carolina, so I was like, I want Southern food. Like, so for Christmas, I was like, I want Southern food. So like my sister did collard greens, I did sweet potatoes and mac and cheese, and we did ham. So we did all the good stuff for Christmas. So for New Year's, I'm like appetizers, maybe a pizza, wings, maybe something like that. I don't need anything crazy.
It's a slow cooker season. I did pork chops and rice in the slow cooker a couple days ago. On Saturday, I will test out a sloppy Joe recipe. Or Saturday,
Chicken
when I say
gumbo.
Saturday,
Put
New
chicken
Year's
gumbo
Eve.
in your sloppy Joe.
Yeah,
I
chicken
swear it's a
gumbo,
game
chicken
changer.
gumbo soup, some onion. Yeah, we'll make that happen. So that'll be New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, whatever. I'm old. Everybody knows I'm lame. I don't get the point. And if I want to go out, party, make poor adult decisions, I can do that any night. I don't need to do it on December 31st. I will be well asleep by the time Ryan Seacrest tells me that it is the new year.
Yep.
So
100%.
that's what I got going
Writing
on.
about a wild lost until 11:30 at night. So.
Yeah, but you know what?
We're
You're
gonna
still
start 2025.
you're still going to be celebrating a big Pop Tarts Bowl victory, though, Jessi.
That's good. Oh, let's go.
Cam
I have-
Ward, how dare you sit? Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm going to fight you on this
Okay,
a little
that's
bit.
gonna
I
be
know
my,
you
that
are.
was
I
my
knew
before
you were.
I die.
I knew you were
Let's-
gonna fight me.
Let's
Let's
hold
get
it.
to it.
Hold, boys.
Get to it.
Hold.
Get to
That's
it.
my before I die as well. Hold. Hit it. Hit it.
Can we just watch Myles frustrated a little bit longer before I
I'm on
before I hit
Ross's
it?
side for on this one.
Oh, I know. You.
Time now for the Before I Die crew to give us their Before I Dies.
Before I die, you're not going to bench your quarterback because he just dominated the first half and then watch your team lose. That's embarrassing. Now, I'm talking about the Pop Tarts Bowl, which, again, hands down, best bowl game there is. I don't care who you are,
So
what
good.
it is. So
good.
freaking good. They had an in memoriam for Frosted Strawberry and then brought him back. Like, just the decorum around it is so beyond ridiculous, and it's so great.
What
and I
about the
love it so
sprinkle
much.
edition on the sidelines, Jessi, this year? I
Every-
thought that was
all of it.
fantastic.
Just brilliant. I absolutely love it. Like, even my mom, who she'll get behind Iowa State just because she helped me afford to go to Iowa State once upon a time, but she's like, so what Pop-Tarts are we going to eat? I was like, I know, isn't this fun? Like, they just make it so fun. I'm so thrilled that Iowa State won, best team in Iowa, but I hate the whole essence of bowl games when you're sitting players and they're benching themselves, as the Miami quarterback did, because of course he's getting ready for the draft. I get it. Then don't play. Just finish out the season. Finish out the season. Iowa State has draft eligible players that are going to go do their thing, but they wanted to win the game. This is my thing. It's college, and in college, and I said this is a quote from Herb Brooks and Miracle, when they're like, why'd you want to play college hockey? And he's like, isn't it obvious for the girls? And he's like, I wanted to win a national championship. Like, win your game. Huh? Yeah.
But did he win one?
Yeah. No, he didn't. He didn't win one. He didn't go on to play a professional career either in hockey. But I'm just saying.
I see what Myles.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I see what Myles is doing here, and if you'll allow me, Jessi, I'm going to hop in here because
Go.
I've come a little bit full circle on this. When this started 6-7 years ago, I hated it when players opted out, but the NCAA does this because they put no rules and regulations on it. First off, I'm a firm believer that the transfer portal shouldn't open till a day after the college football national championship. Then these guys would have to play. Or if they want to sit out and sit on the sidelines and look dumb to their teams, they can do that. That will just reflect more poorly upon them, probably. So the NCAA allows this. So I get it. The bowl games, I don't want to say they become a mockery. It does create good opportunities. And by the way, aside from the college football playoff, if you've watched any of these bowl games or paid attention, almost every one of them is a one-score game, highly entertaining, sometimes for all the wrong reasons, but still worth watching and entertaining. I would say this. You either play or you don't play. Or if it's about getting the stupid touchdown passing record, get your one touchdown pass and be done. Don't dominate the first half. And he played the entire first half. Don't get me wrong here.
They would have beat Iowa State without question had he stayed in.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
He absolutely dominated that game.
I'm not trying to make your team look bad, but what I'm saying is, again, is the game meaningless in the long run? Yeah, I'm sure it is, but not to most of the players playing at that moment. And you can say, oh, well, they probably talked about it. They all knew it. And he was going to sit at halftime and everybody knew it. Doesn't matter. It still entirely changes the game, and it's going to affect how your teammates play, especially when backup guy was incapable. And they were terrified to let him run the offense. Absolutely terrified to let him run the offense. I'm not blaming Cam Ward. I'm blaming the system. And I also just think it looks stupid. If we're going to continue to charge corporations millions of dollars to sponsor these games, let's actually put a product on the field worthy of that. That's not even my before I die. My actual before I die is the 12 Days of Christmas runs through January 5th. Keep your GD Christmas trees up. And by the way, there's a radio station in town, starts with a K, ends with a OOL 108. Love and adore the radio station. You don't need to kill Christmas music on Christmas night. The baby Jesus lives. Keep his music around. There we go. That's my before I die. I just spit. I'm so angry.
Wow, that was heated. You guys are very passionate.
Oh, by the way, KTIS, they also cut their Christmas music on Christmas Day, which to me makes less sense than anybody. You can keep it going through the new year. That one certain station rushes to play.
But by Jan 2, Jan 1, I want it gone. It's over. New
Year's Day, that's fine, Jessi. I'm with you. Let it run through New Year's Day. The problem is that one station rushes to play it on like November 10th and then kills it on Christmas Day. Stop it. I know I've probably ever killed my chance of working with any of those people. Not that I would ever need to do that, but seriously, you don't need to kill it on Christmas Day.
But I think this is why, though, too, that there's such a letdown. Like, the post-Christmas depression is very real for people, right? Because there's just all this jubilance and there's this high and there's all this. And then honestly, and even for me, and I'm sure Myles, you feel this way, exhausted parents, Christmas Day, I am so happy it's there and it is done because there is just this massive buildup and all this stuff that needs to get done, all these things to do. Like, I love me a Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve is the best because there's high anticipation. You're excited, you're there. And then Christmas Day, I just want to nap. I just want to chill. Like, I'll clean up the mess later, whatever. Like, I'm okay with moving on a little bit, but I think there's such a buildup prior. And then it's just like, bloop, you just pop the balloon. You don't let it deflate. You just pop it out.
I think the slow transition is key, Jessi. I will still listen to some Christmas music post-Christmas Day and still do a few Christmassy things. Because I'll be honest, I've gotten better about this as I've gotten older. I didn't realize how bad I had the post-holiday depression until recently. And I'll be honest, I despise this time of year. It's part of the reason why I'm only doing this. I'm not technically working for a few more days. I need this time because I think December 26th is the most depressing day of the year.
It's Boxing Day. Don't tell Canadians that. That's their day. That's their holiday.
I'll fight you, Canada.
I like it. I
Myles,
enjoy it. I like my normalcy. Give me just regular schedule. Give me 9 to 5 again. God, I need to know what day it is. I'm a loser, but it's fine. Yeah, Myles,
Jessi,
you're not getting out of before I die. What?
Jessi, do we need to let Myles defend Cam Ward, or can we just tell him to take the L and do a different before I die?
Yeah, I mean, whatever you feel, Myles. This is your floor as well. Let you decide.
I was letting y'all get it out because I could tell it. It meant something to you.
If he didn't play Myles,
it just looks stupid, and I know there's an asterisk.
And it's not his fault, but he looks stupid. That's all that I'm saying.
And again, I think I don't like it because I know there's an asterisk next to that Iowa State win in my head. Like that, it
but
just
why?
I don't
Who
like.
Who cares?
Because I'm a purist. All right, I want to win cleanly. I want to win definitively. And it just feels like, you know what? Had he played, that wasn't going to go my way, which was fine. I had beers. I had a fire outside. I had garage TVs. I was having a great time either way, no matter what happened. But just, I don't like the asterisks.
In 50 years, Jessi, you'll still be able to plug in that Pop Tarts trophy. And Miami won't be able to do that. Okay, I'm shutting up. Go, Myles.
We're complaining about a game that literally had a Pop-Tart revive itself. And we're complaining about the player on the field. Like, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, come on. This game was more about the Pop-Tart than it was the players on the field, straight up. Like, am I wrong?
No, I mean, it was. That's the only reason I extra love that I was played in that game.
I view these non-playoff, especially non-playoff bowl games, especially as they build out the playoffs to be 12 teams instead of 4. Those playoffs are the games that matter. These non-playoff bowls are just about marketing, and I view them as preseason games for teams who have young guys. Like the Miami Hurricanes wanted to see that young quarterback play and see if there's something
Probably
there.
never again.
Maybe never again because of it, right? But I view it as a jump start to their spring, right? And so guys that are coming back, it's a jump start for some of those guys, an opportunity for them to jump start into the spring, and coaches get to see them on the field and how they play in a quote unquote meaningless game. Ross, I see you. Don't. In a meaningless game that at the end of the day, it's cool if you win, and I'm not saying losing's okay. You don't want to lose, and I don't think the Miami coaches we're going to do this because we know we're going to lose. I think it's we have a plan with our quarterback, and we're going to then get these other guys opportunities to play, and let's push it forward. And I don't think that it's anything more than that. I don't think it needs to be anything more than that. I just think let's keep it about the Pop-Tart, you know?
Do you know what would have helped the rest of those players on the field develop into next year? If they had a competent quarterback under center. Or here's a thought. Just tell us 3 weeks ago you're not playing, so then awful backup guy actually has 3 weeks to get ready for the entire game and run the entire offense.
Maybe he did, and he's still that bad. There's just so much that we don't know, and I think that's what they're trying to determine too. And I think at the end of the day, I just view it as not that big of a deal. I get the gripe, but it's a Pop Tarts Bowl game.
I will actually give you this, Myles. I think, and I'm on the other side here. I actually agree with you. It really is not that big of a deal. But what I'm saying is you open yourself up to this criticism by even playing. So either the NCAA needs to fix this system, or if you're truly going to bow out of a game at halftime, just don't play to begin with. Well,
so here's the question then to you, to both of you. Where is the line? Because how's NCAA supposed to come in and do anything about this? We see in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers took himself out of the game in the fourth quarter yesterday.
What
They
a
were down.
loser.
Oh,
Sorry.
I know. No. And
I can't even stand him.
Any chance to rip Aaron Rodgers, I'm for.
Oh.
But
I did. I was
do
watching
this,
that, and I was like, "What is?" He pulled him, didn't he? Pulled himself. What a loser.
Yeah.
God.
And I know that some of these games they do it and they're out of reach, but like we'll see this coming Sunday, teams will play non-starters rather than their starters in a meaning, quote unquote, meaningless game.
How you're not going for a national championship? I'm just saying. I'm just kidding. I'm going back to college.
Oh,
I
was
just
like,
think
they're not
college
going.
kids should
They're,
have
not,
a better.
they're going for a Pop Tart Bowl trophy. Jesse, they're going for a
I
Pop
want to eat
Tart.
the Pop-Tart. I want to
They're still going to get a lot of Pop Tarts. I promise
last
you.
game of
The losing team, walked away with a carton full of Pop Tarts. I promise you.
How does the NCAA fix it? No matter what, you're right, Myles. Players are always going to find a loophole, and they'll find ways to not
It's not
play
a loophole.
if they don't want to play.
It's a situation where like a team can make that decision. I'm
saying even if you push back the transfer portal date, players would still would then just say, okay, well, I'm not going to play.
Yeah,
But
no, you're right on that.
my thought on this has always been two things. We need to stop acting like a lot of these kids are actually going to class. Newsflash, they're not. They're there to play college football. A lot of them are having work done for them. So let's not say, oh, the transfer portal needs to open so they can get enrolled in their next schools. Stop it. For a lot of these kids transferring to different schools, it doesn't matter. They're there to try and further their careers. The only other thing that I would say is where I do have a problem with this entire system, and sorry, Purple Daily fans, we've divulged into college football.
I was going to say, I feel like this
10
is
minutes.
a separate episode that we need to open up, but
Here's what I would say. I got a big problem, and I'll just use the University of Minnesota for example. I got a big problem if I pay a kid. I don't care how much it is. Let's just say it's $25,000, and I pay him $25,000, and then at the end of the year he tells me, "Hey, thanks for the $25,000. I'm actually going to go play for Florida. They're going to pay me $100,000 next year." Now I'm double dipping. I've taken $25,000 from the University of Minnesota. I'm not going to play in their bowl game, and now I'm going to go play for Florida. And guess what? Next year I might do the same thing to Florida. I got a problem with that. When I'm paying you money, you play until our season is over. That's
That might not
one
be the contract as part of that NIL.
That's one of the things. Well, and that's all stuff that has to be fixed because right now college football is a joke. Penn State backup quarterback guy who actually played a lot left his team.
Yeah.
That can't happen. I think that's ridiculous. Anywho,
speaking of,
go
I'm getting
Vikings.
paid
They're
more
going to beat
go
the
on to a
Lions.
different show, so I'm going to go. We're going to wrap this one up and they're offering me a little bit more money. I do have a bar episode to record. So anyway, you guys are the best. As always, the Vikings are the best. Huge game Sunday night. Cannot wait. Let's go Vikings. Don't forget to check out all of our other Purple Daily content, our Score North content. We will see you guys next Monday. Woof. Let's go.
Hannafin?